I think most of you are avoiding to talk about it. In soccer here, maybe we're not aware. It has been political. In political in such a way that it somehow belongs to certain individuals that are untouchable in soccer.
Can't you bring that in your closing remarks? You'll be given time to talk about it, because this time we're talking about questions.
I think it's important, sir, so that people are aware, they understand exactly
You'll come to that. You'll come to that. Let's just follow the pace and flow of communication. I know that is a governing statement you want to bring.
I'm the one who's on.
But I'm the chair. I'm the chair.
I'm trying to respond.
Please sit down. I'm saying I'm a chair. There is no question that has directly come to me.
It's not. I'm not answering any questions, sir.
Yeah, but why are you addressing us? Because it's on me who should address you. Unless you are given time to speak.
I'm bringing something on the floor.
Are we arguing?
Soccer.
Are we arguing?
No.
Sit down. Sit down, sir. No problem. You'll lose
Sir,
nothing.
you've been coming here. People are raising questions of stolen fertilizer.
No, they haven't. No one has raised that
No,
question.
you came. Previously, you were in soccer here. Placards were being raised. They are being raised that is this
we are
fertilizer.
going to confuse everything there. If at all you want to declare interest, leave and be there. I want to interact with these people. I don't want any confusion.
Can this interaction also be known to the people as well?
That way, see what it is, DC. When you know that in this kind of arrangement, people they are there, in leadership, we declare interest. Because I'm the senior leader addressing this matter, I cannot appreciate people to be addressed in that way.
I feel in soccer the district commissioner is not protected. I feel I'm being belittled.
We should not be debating before this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
I've been appointed to be in the office.
Let's do
on
this.
behalf of the president.
Let's do this, DC. If you can maybe take a seat. We are all appointed by the president. Myself, I'm moving sworn in by the president.
Why should I have such kind of disrespect that I'm able to say?
No, the people are wrong. We are going to speak to that, if at all. Anyone who is accusing the DC?
Sir, you came, they were raising placards that this is stolen fertilizer. You saw even those people.
But you'd have addressed that issue. Myself, I've come at a different platform. This is a different platform and instruction. You would have sorted out this matter with your people earlier before I came.
So they have been raising these issues to you. I even saw them the other day. They were at your office there. The very people that are coming that are disturbing us.
No, the agenda was not about you. It was a different agenda.
The very people that are complaining, they are wrong people. That's an issue that I'm raising here.
But I feel disrespected with that kind of conduct. I feel disrespected.
Sir, I'm equally so much disrespected here. You don't know how I feel with what is happening here.
Sure. I'm very sorry.
You have got no idea the way I feel with what is happening in soccer here.
When
I'm fighting, I'm on radio every Friday telling people I've made this a committee with a cooperative.
Let me tell you this.
These issues of sharing.
If you can just sit down. If you can just sit down. DC, there is a forensic report that has come out from here.
Good evening and welcome to Spotlight. Tonight, we are not only talking about the future, nor are we talking about the wrangles between a DC and a permanent secretary. Rather, we are talking about the hands that will build Zambia's future. With the 2026 general elections appearing on the horizon, the youth have become the most contested gold mine in Zambian politics. But as the cost of living bites and as the lights flicker, many young people are asking, is anyone actually listening, or are the youths just numbers on the ballot?
Indeed, said tonight we put the season first. That's the CF party under the microscope. And of course, joining us is a man who carries the weight of the youth agenda for his party and a vocal as well as often controversial figure in the political arena. He is the National Youth Chairman for Citizens First. That's Mr. Maxwell Chongu. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome our guest this evening, Mr. Chongu. Good evening, Mr. Chongu, and welcome to Spotlight.
Good evening to you and good evening to our viewers out there. I don't think I'm controversial. I just speak the truth the way it is.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
We played the video right before this interview started, and to start this conversation, I would want to pick it up from there, what your thoughts are before we get into the meat of our topic tonight.
First of all, it's disappointing to see that senior people that are appointed by the president would act like that in public. And clearly, when you look at the video, I would invite the law enforcement agencies to take keen interest, because there was some sort of corruption that was about to be exposed there. But apparently, another person was using his authority, being the senior one, to stop the DC from saying what he wanted to see. Looking at the videos, of course, there's a permanent secretary there and there's a district commissioner. The permanent secretary would claim to be senior, and the district commissioner is also claiming to be appointed by the president. It shows that it's a pante kind of arrangement. They don't even know how to follow the line of authority. One thing that caught my eyes there is the fact that there is some form and level of corruption that is being hidden there, and would have loved to see that conversation go on. Perhaps the DC be given an opportunity to explain what he meant, so that we know what he's talking about, because he's accusing the permanent secretary of shooting those people that come every time he's around to call him names that he stole fertilizer. And at that point, the permanent secretary is trying to shut the DC, which is unfortunate. We haven't been given a room to get to know what exactly happened.
We're going to make attempts as Crown Television to see if we can have a conversation with both the individuals involved in this particular story for the context of our viewers. Now, Mr. Chongu, you are responsible for one of the most important groups in this country, the youth, and one of the areas that is making Zambia thrive, if at all it is the mining sector, which largely the youths are party to. Now, there's been so many controversies surrounding the mining sector. Just recently, we did see the government deploy the Zambia army and several other forces to try and curb what was called illegal mining. How did the CF look at this situation, and how can the CF, could the CF have handled this situation any different?
First of all, to begin with, it's unfortunate that the government, the European government, would think of sending soldiers on defenseless, ordinary citizens. I think no matter the situation, it is not right for a government to unleash soldiers on its citizens. Those soldiers are trained in a specific way. And usually when they go for training, there's what they call, they'll remove that mind that they came with from home and put what they feel they should have in there. So automatically they become human machines. And you cannot send human machines on ordinary citizens. That was very unfortunate. Secondly, I would say, look, I wonder why a population of about 22,122,525 people, which is Zambia, boasting of about, I think, 26.7% youthful population, which is coming to about 5,900,000 and something, if I'm not mistaken, would be calling its young people as illegal miners, instead of looking at alternatives on how best they can be trained into small-scale miners so that we can groom them and be the billionaires that we want to see. We are tired of seeing a situation at Citizens First where when the Dangotes come here, they're even sent straight to the State House without appointment because they are billionaires. And when Zambians are making it, particularly the young people in the mining sector, taking advantage of our minerals that they're discovering in different areas of our country, they are now being called illegal miners. They are being shot at. Now we have reached a point where military personnel is being trained to go and remove those people. Like our party name says, and my president is on record saying it repeatedly, our party name says Citizens First. What we are going to do different, there will be no way a Zambian will be called an illegal miner. There is no way youths will be called illegal miners. There is no way the Chinese that came or whoever came from Dubai to buy our mines will take even the dump site that are supposed to be given to the community. So those are the things we are going to do differently. Number one, Citizens First will prioritize the interests of Zambian businessmen and women, not only in the mining sector, in all the sectors of our economy, so that we have our own people empowered, we have money in circulation. The money that is gained from selling those things is retained right here in Zambia, and the investments are made here in Zambia. Zambia today has reached a situation where it is creating both business and employment opportunities for people outside and not within Zambia. These people that come in the name of investors, they're getting our minerals at popcorn change. Then they go there, and as they process them into finished products, which they bring back to Africa to sell, they create both business and employment opportunities for their people out there. And we want to change that at Citizens First. If you're an investor, we'll allow you to come to Zambia, but you will have to process those into finished products. That way we are going to see a lot of factories and industries being built, and once those come up, then we are guaranteed that our people will be employed and our people have businesses. Those are some of the things that we are going to do different from this government, which has failed its people. This is a government that in the morning they would wake up, go and beat marketeers, in those that vendors in roads that are selling tomatoes, carpenters and whatnot. And yet it is the same government that feels it is right and so it is wise for them to see and witness foreigners come and exploit our minerals to a point where they give them tax holidays.
You've talked about, employment, especially in the mining sector. Now, the mining industry is becoming more automated. There's so much technology that, is coming on board. How is CF specific policy to protect youth jobs against the global shift towards this technology?
Technology is coming on board, and it's not like technology cannot be achieved by the Zambians themselves. It is political will that is not there from the government to the people of Zambia to allow them utilize it to achieve what you're asking me. But with Citizens First, we will give the Zambian people room and support in that aspect so that we can achieve what you're asking.
There was recently a conversation around the alleged illegal miners. These individuals have to be a part of a group that we can call stakeholders, and if the Citizens First is going to call this group stakeholders, then they must understand that to pick a shovel or a pick and to just go anywhere minerals are available must require some form of documentation, and that if you don't have documentation, then you are trading in an illegality. So how then will the Citizens First make sure that the youth see themselves as stakeholders and avoid doing things illegally? They go the legal route.
I understand what you're asking, and I'll tell you the truth. Saying that we are going to make them small-scale miners does not mean that we are going to promote illegalities. But a situation where the young people go and discover minerals, and then within a month or two, you just send police officers there or the Zambia army and say, chase them from there. That is not what we are going to do. But what we are going to do is that we'll give them a time frame to say, you have discovered these minerals. You are Zambians, they are your minerals. And that is the reason why the colors of our political party are orange. They are your minerals. We'll give you this period of time to organize yourselves and raise your capitals. After that, then you have to go through this process so that we can now transition them from ordinary citizens that are called illegal miners into small-scale miners and become legalized miners.
But we were getting reports of a similar situation where young people find gold deposits and they, kill each other because they do not, have the right papers, first of all, but also if any one of us finds the opportunity, the other person will feel jealous of the other and they would kill each other. We've had those reports right on Crown TV as well as, on other media platforms.
You see, the biggest problem when it comes to mineral discoveries and young people is the politicians. Because these politicians, whenever they discover that a young person or the community has discovered minerals in this particular area, the first thing they do is they send cadres there that do not even know anything. Maybe that cadre was just manning a station in Lusaka or somewhere, or the Copper Belt or somewhere else. They would rather send those cadres to go and intimidate those ones. And in the process, they start fighting. And that is what we are against. We will not allow young people to fight each other. Instead, we'll bring them all to the table and advise them and maybe probably even make them go through a certain process of orientation for them to understand that for them to mine properly, we need to make sure that all the safety measures have been put in place and this is done. But that will be after a certain period of time has been given for them to make the necessary capital they need. Because you cannot just go to young people when they discover something and say, get out from there because we are the government. Next thing we are sending the police until you get the documentation. No.
Mr. Max, let's look at another aspect, which is the energy crisis as well as cost of living. We understand that we are coming from, a heated load shedding, especially in the year 2025. Now, looking at load shedding, which has crippled small businesses, in this case, we're talking of the barber shops, the salons. If Citizen First were in power tonight, what immediate non-hydro intervention would you implement to stop the scourge?
To stop load shedding. Look, we have always maintained our position that load shedding is deliberate by the UPND government. You see, this UPND government, let's just be honest here, it is the government that understands that we're making money from the mining sector through copper exports, isn't it? Or our minerals, from the way we're exporting our minerals. But what do they do? Because they had obligations to do with the people that helped them form government, the people that gave the mining sector. In the process, they started making money using ZESCO by exporting power. And we have said it time and again that ZESCO has got capacity to end load shedding even now. They were refusing. They were using the excuse of water. But this is the same government, again, that told the people of Zambia that we've got a bumper harvest because we've got enough water as a result of too much rainfall. They said we had the bumper harvest, but they were saying we have got load shedding because there's no water. That was a pure lie. They have been exporting electricity to neighboring countries. And now that we are going towards elections, they are pretending to be importing electricity. And immediately after August 2026, if the Zambian people would decide to buy into their lies and think that load shedding has ended, that's when you see the real load shedding. Citizens First Party President Dr. Hari Kalaba has made it clear time and again to say the first thing that he's going to do when he's voted into power, the moment he lifts that Bible, those contracts will be cancelled. First of all, we have to ensure that the local market is given enough electricity, and then we'll start looking at other avenues, like what he mentioned in terms of the plant that was supposed to be put under the Patriotic Front Party administration in Chongu. So those are some of the things that we'll look at in terms of long-term investments into the energy sector. But the immediate ones, to end load shedding, to ensure that businesses, Zambian businesses that had collapsed because of load shedding, those salons you mentioned, the barber shops, bakeries, butcheries, those that believe in welding, and many more. There are some women on this earth, in this country, that survive on selling ice blocks. They make ice blocks now with Tumbua. Without electricity, they're failing to do that. So all those business will be resuscitated by ending those power export contracts.
If you say that the load shedding, was deliberate, there are countries that surround Zambia, as countries such as Zimbabwe, there's Namibia as well, that equally face challenges of power owing to the drought that had affected a region. So how then would we say that load shedding for Zambia, was because of elections? But then what was load shedding for Zimbabwe? Because we experienced almost similar, load shedding hours, Zambia and Zimbabwe.
Look, I don't believe what you're saying, and I think it's unprofessional. Thank God you're not a politician, because if you were a politician, I would have answered you in a political manner. Because using your neighbor's house to justify your failures, it's a sign of failure on its own. Now, here's the situation. Why would we use other neighbors' reasons when we had the government official, was it from Namibia, who came and announced that load shedding has ended in Namibia because Zambia is giving them electricity? And yet a person who lives in Karingaringa has lost the welding business because of load shedding. A person who lives in Chawama has lost his butchery and saloon, barbershop because of load shedding. So we cannot justify our failure that has been self-inflicted because of what other people are saying. Zambia, we've got the capacity. It's as simple as that. Where has ZESCO gotten electricity within the last 4 months? Where have they gotten the water from? Unless you tell me that the special pipe that came from God or Jesus that directed it into Kariba to end load shedding, because load shedding all of a sudden has ended. Why has it ended that now that we've got 3 months before before Parliament is dissolved? Why has it ended now that we've got about 4 or 5 months before the general election? So let the government come and explain why it has ended. All these things, and that adds up to one thing that I was telling you. It was a deliberate move so that when they bring back the power towards election, Zambians should be able to say UPND has got good policies. There's nothing good about this power that we're having. Besides, we all know how the the electricity tariffs are finishing, as if it's butter that you left outside where there's too much sunlight.
When you talk of the electricity tariffs, the Ministry of Energy has demanded from ZESCO to explain to the nation why electricity units are depleting too quick. Do you think that the request by the minister is justified, or do you think that this is also just a cover-up?
The minister is not a serious person. There is a cabinet in this country. The minister is not a serious person. The minister cannot go and start asking those people. There is a cabinet. They could have come up with an agreement. It's the minister, because remember, when the minister is coming out like that to the public, it means that they sat as cabinet. Cabinet is chaired by the president. So does it mean that the whole entire cabinet has got no reason why this is happening for the minister to start demanding for an explanation? That is one way of looking for an excuse or trying to blindfold Zambians to say they are doing anything about it. Clearly, it means they are lost at sea. Because if the government starts asking, it's like you where you're seated here. You start asking the gate man to say the program that we're having at 20 hours with Maxwell Chongu, what should we ask? It means that you don't know what you're doing. And it means that you have failed your job. So the minister is lost at sea. The minister doesn't know what he's doing.
At this point, Mr. Max, should we clearly say that the energy crisis, mostly that gets to hit us as a country, is being politicized almost every time there is an election or we enter to a campaign period? If just to take you back, remember in the year 2021 election, we did see the now UPND government did promise that load shedding was going to be a thing of the past, and of course blamed it on the patriotic front that they were not implementing certain things like using of solar or prioritizing solar and all these things. Now that you are in government in waiting, why then should the Zambian people believe you, or that even if they ought to give you a mandate today, obviously things will change and it will still be hit by the same load shedding?
The Zambian people should believe us because there is experience in President Harikala. President Harikala was served in government for the longest time. And President Harikala understands. And if I'm not mistaken, if you go and check among the people that were sent to Russia to go and start that factory in Chongu, was it in Chongu somewhere where it was supposed to be set up, President Harikala's signature is there. President Harikala was served as the Foreign Affairs Minister. And the Foreign Affairs Minister, by the way, is the longest serving Foreign Affairs Minister. And the Foreign Affairs Minister is as good as the President, because you go to these other countries and you meet President. You have got that privilege to sit in certain meetings and you'll be able to understand what is needed. Now, President Harikala is different from President Hakainde Hichilema. President Hakainde Hichilema never worked in government. President Hakainde Hichilema never worked as a minister. So he talked about what he understood based on his ability to read and to have knowledge, to understand certain things. But we are talking about someone who has lived the life that he's talking about, and he knows where to touch. He knows what to say. He knows what to do. He knows who to consult, and he knows where to go to. So there is a difference between the two people, and that is the reason why Zambians must always trust what President Harikala is saying.
The Kwacha has shown some gains recently, and the government is saying that load shedding is easing. The government has said that they are, importing some of the power that we are getting. Then there's also some infrastructure works and updates that have been made on Mamba collieries, and there's, the solar plants that the government has launched. Maybe that is where the excess power that the country can now experience more power is coming from, don't you think?
Listen, there is no way you can tell someone to say, don't drink that water there because someone dropped in a spoon of acid in it. And then you said, there's water to drink there. It doesn't make sense. The government has already explained that they're importing power. So all these stories they're saying, these Mamba couriers were doing this and that, are just things to make Zambians believe that they're doing something so that they can vote for them. All these are just political moves, political strategies.
Do you think this is a temporal mask on a dying economy?
It's just like the dollar, the strength that the Kwacha has gotten recently. I'll tell you, I'm not an economist. But look, even as much as the UPND government will come out during the day to say, look at the dollar has gone down. Today, the UPND government is scratching its head because as much as the dollar is going down, they are faced with another crisis in the agricultural sector. The maize that they procured, over 5 billion kwacha, that maize they procured, they were supposed to sell it, and they were not going to offload it on the Zambian market. They were going to export it. But today, with the gain of the kwacha, tell me what the government is thinking with that maize that they're supposed to export. So already it shows you that it's just political gimmicks that they're playing. They don't even understand the real impact that is on the ground. You see, today, during the morning or during the day, the UPND members and vuvuzelas will be telling you the dollar has reduced this and that and that. In the evening, they're scratching their head. They don't know what to do with the maize in our reserves. They don't know what to do because even the minerals that we're exporting, we're getting it what? The global trading currency is what? It's dollar. What are they going to do with the maize they bought with over 5 billion kwacha? And now that the dollar has gone back, who is going to cover for that difference? That is taxpayers' money. They are not saying anything about it. So next time you bring a minister here, he's talking about the dollar, ask them about that difference. What is going to happen?
When you look at the numbers, Mr. Chongu, the inflation rate is going down. The kwacha itself is appreciating against major, currencies. But then also, the Zambia's currency has been named to be one of the best performing currencies in the world.
By who?
By several organizations.
Where? From where?
Bloomberg is one of the organizations.
Bloomberg is where?
Bloomberg is in the world. It's in
yeah.
America.
So you know why I'm asking you those questions. We seem to be governed by a model of governance that only speaks to the language of the West or former imperialists or those that supposed to give us loans and fails to address the realities on the ground. All those accolades they're giving us or they're saying or they're giving the UPND government, does that reflect to the ordinary the welfare of a citizen in our country today? Can a Zambian afford from their salary, ordinary salary, to buy a bag of mealie meal, 3 chickens, container, and still remain with something substantial to take care of themselves for 30 days? No. Do Zambians afford 3 mealie meals in a day? No. Are civil servants happy? No. Have salaries for civil servants been increased? No. But yet, organizations that have been established to portray an image, I would call them image builders, want to convince people, and the funny part is that it is you people that are educated that are getting convinced. And yet ordinary citizens were able to see through and understand these lies that they're bringing to our tables.
You've talked about a number of issues that you are calling, wrong. But when you see these economic indicators, is the Citizens First worried that maybe, just maybe, the UPND's, policies are actually beginning to work?
We are not worried at all. Because if the UPND policies were beginning to work, we could have seen a true reflection of what they claim, theoretically, in terms of the livelihood of ordinary citizens. This is a UPND government that would give tax holidays. And when you go back to the records, I'm sure the records are there at ZRI, between 2019 and 2018, was it 2019, 2020, Zambia made about, is it 1.1 billion from taxes in the mining sector. 2020 to 2021, it made the same amount, about $1.1 billion from taxes in the mining sector. Came in the UPND government and gave tax incentives, and they made 700 and something. Meaning the foreigners are benefiting. Those are the ones that are writing those things on Bloomberg. And then an ordinary citizen here, a teacher that has suffered, a teacher that you have sent in the bush to work in the bush, you are giving them 700 kwacha as salary increment.
Talking of
the civil servant, a police officer that you are always sending to your own cadres, they are getting harassed, they are getting beaten, you are giving them 700 kwacha, and you call that good policies and indicators are showing that we are in the right path.
Is this a genuine move to help workers, or it is an election bet to buy the 2026 election when you talk of the civil servants getting a salary increment?
A salary increment of what?
About 700 kwacha.
That is a joke. And my president will say, Chochiverechi. Look,
yes.
How will you go? Let me be very honest with you. If you go to most of these civil servants and check their pay slips, you will find that some of them today as we speak, even with their pay slips, it reflects at 900 kwacha housing allowance. Where will you get a house for 900 kwacha? What will you do with a 700 kwacha salary increment in a society where a bag of mini meal is 350 kwacha? What will you do with a 700 kwacha increment in a society where a container, 5-liter container of cooking oil is 320? Before I even go further to touch salt and other necessities that are needed in the house, that 700 kwacha is gone. So what increment? What motivation? That is the motivation. And yet, companies of foreign origin are able to access our industries. We don't even know how Mopani was taken over and all these other things. And on top of that, they're giving them tax holidays. That is a joke.
How much is a good salary increment in the eyes of the citizens first, and how would you fund it?
Look, it was proved beyond any reasonable doubt that anything is possible. When the late president, the founding father of PF, formed government, he gave 100% salary increment. And it was done in 2 phases. So, 100%, it means that if you are getting 15,000, for example, then you are getting how much?
30.
30. Now, here is a government that talks of loving the Zambian people, talking about 700 kwacha. What percentage is that to start with, if it was 20,000 kwacha?
So you would want to increase it by 100%?
I did not say that, but I said it was proved beyond a reasonable doubt that it could be done, meaning that something better could have been given to our civil servants than what we are seeing. If the Zambian government is able, at a time that we're discovering minerals of high value across the nation, is able to give tax holidays to mining companies coming from outside Zambia, it should be able to give its citizens, civil servants, 50% salary increment and above, and not these jokes that we are seeing.
Zambia had defaulted on its, debt just a few years ago, prior to the UPND getting into, government. And what the UPND government has informed us and informed the nation is that it is undergoing a debt restructuring, process. Is it feasible for the UPND to propose such and to implement such an increment at the same time as deal with the debt and deal with other economic challenges that the country is just healing from?
It is not the first time that Zambia is going through a debt restructuring program. It is not. And look, the only difference is that, look, the late president of FTJ, he started the HIPIC thing
project,
and he asked the Zambians to be with them and tighten their seats, their belts for what was coming, and everybody prepared. But we did not see the suffering that we're seeing now. This government wants to run a country as though the country is supposed to make profit. The country is supposed to take care of its citizens. There's a lot of criminal activities that are rising from the young people because the young people have got nothing to do. Because this country wants to make a profit. So, when you tell me that is it possible if they can give that, yes, it is. The Americans that are telling us that we should observe fiscal discipline, the Americans today are able to give vouchers to their citizens. What do you call that? Is it that not subsidies? They are giving vouchers to their citizens to buy food. You cannot use it to buy any other thing. Go to America and find out about that. Or call anyone who's in America right now. They'll accept, they'll agree to that. So we are in Zambia at a time that we're discovering minerals of high value. Why should our people be subjected to such conditions in the name of debt restructuring? You came in, you said when you vote for me, the dollar will come to 10 at 14 hours. The bag of mini meal will be 50 kwacha. Bag of fertilizer will be 250. You did not tell us that because of debt restructuring, it will be that amount I'm going to increase. You told the people of Zambia that this is what you're going to do. The people of Zambia believed you, and they give you the mandate. Then you come back and start telling them, no, debt restructuring. Wunga 350. Bag of fertilizer 1,250. The dollar went to 30 something. You're bringing it to 18, and you want us to jump.
Okay.
We move on to another segment. I know the time is not very much on our side, but when we look at the political, and I'll just call it the opposition landscape, we will look at the by-elections that were recently held. The Citizens First has, performed considerably well in most of these by-elections, but then the question...
In fact, not considerably, say perfectly well.
Okay.
Than any other party.
What do you call perfect?
Perfectly well, because even our numbers will show you, our consistency in what we are doing will show you. We have got the so-called, the biggest opposition party, PF, that went into Petauke with a different candidate on a different political party. They come back, they go there was no consistent in Chawama. They went into Chawama with a different candidate on a different political party. Now they have split. They went into Kasama. One group was not present to participate in the by-election. The other group was saying, no, they don't want the other. The next thing we saw within that same period, one group is having a conference. The other one is saying we're not part of it. There is no consistent. But with Citizens First, it has proved, and our numbers are showing that the consistency has been there, the focus has been there, and you can tell from the numbers that in Petauke we got maybe 1,800. We come to Chawama, we got about 1,500. We went to plus. We went to Mufiri, we won the by-election, that word by-election. Coming to Kasama, we got 4,000 plus. It shows you that these have been consistent and they're going, and we don't have complications or confusion.
And there lies the question, Mr. Chongu, to say the opposition, after the Kasama mayoral by-election, say that, the number difference between the opposition put together and the ruling UPND that won the Kasama, by-election was not... The opposition might have won if you stuck as one unit. Now they say that since parties like the CF, want to go in alone, we are handing victory to the UPND and President Hakainde Hichilema by splitting the votes.
Look, most of these bad things that people say after by-election, they forget about what happened before. After all these by-elections, they forget about what happened before. There is no political party in Zambia today that withdrew its candidate for the sake of PF to file in, and that was CF. There was no political party and a leader that took its regalia and all the resources with its human resource to go and campaign in Kawamba mayoral by-election. And then ECL asked President Hari Kalaba to say, please, let's all support the candidate on the Socialist Party, and then we might give CF an opportunity to stand in Pambashe. We did that at the last hour. CF supported that candidate in Kawamba mayoral by-election. MP by-election came in Kawamba, it was the same statement. CF was told to stand down. We're going to use a different party. We did that. Came Pambashe when they told us that we are going to use CF in Pambashe. What did they do? They put Heritage Party there. They put a different party. And I'm sure at some point, even where Socialist Party was left, they would still file in. And we said, okay, fine, let's leave them. We had an issue in Pambashe. We went to Petauke, hoping that they'll support us. What did they do? They brought a candidate there. There was a by-election in Kawe. ECO himself said that I want to have a councillor stand on CF ticket. I have a message where ECO even said that. What did they do? They took an independent candidate and filled in a candidate. So all this while, CF has been agreeing to say, look, let's work together. Other than that, there is no political party leader today in the Zambian opposition's arena who has gone to each and every opposition political party leader to the extent of going to their homes, asking them to work with them, than Hari Kalaba himself. President Hari Kalaba has approached Dr. Fred Membe. President Hari Kalaba has approached Brian Mundube. President Hari Kalaba has approached Makebi Zulu. President Hari Kalaba has approached everyone. I'm sure people, the likes of Sharakateka, Sakwiva Skota, these others, the Sawai Mboilas and them. You saw he was with them in Uka. But how, so now, let me finish. All this effort that he has done, they don't appreciate it. And you just want to throw someone like that in the bin. CF is a well-organized party. It is willing to listen to people, to the call by the Zambian people, to unite with other political parties. But the unity must be genuine. There is no way you wanted to cut me. There is no way I can come to your house and I tell you that I'm stranded, I need accommodation, help me. And before you give me the bedroom, you show me the bedroom, said, okay, Maxwell, you can come into my house, I'll give you one room where you'll be sleeping with your wife and your kids. Before I even reach the room, the first thing I say, before you even give me anything, you must leave your master bedroom, I must go in there, then you must come in. Does that make sense?
Looking at the confusion factor, Mr. Maxwell, yes, we know for sure the opposition is currently in a web of alliances as well as court cases. But how can a young voter trust Citizen First when the opposition as a whole can't seem to agree on a single front?
Look, the opposition, some leaders are abusing young people. They're taking advantage of the fact that they were in government. They were in those positions. And to them, what is important is to return to those positions and to start enjoying those facilities. And they're taking advantage of vulnerable young people. And I want to say this proudly, I want to say this with confidence. They are taking advantage of vulnerable young people that they failed to empower by giving them small handouts to say, support us in doing these things. But I'll tell you, 2026 general elections are more spiritual than any other thing.
Okay.
And I repeat, 2026 general elections are more spiritual than any other thing. It will take somebody that is spiritually strong to understand what is happening in August. All these leaders that are talking too much, it's a situation of David in the Bible. When David was young, no one believed him. Everyone said, he's young, leave him, he's just there, he's doing this. And David had brothers.
So in this case, David is
Let me finish. David had his brothers like the Munduvides of today, the KBF, and all these people, the Chimbakambwiris. And everybody looked at David's brothers to say, look, it is these ones that are fit to carry the mandate. But God's eyes were on somebody who was not even among those that they had paraded. And the man of God even asked, do you have any other child apart from this of Puti? And when the father to David said yes, he said, bring him here. And it was David that defeated Goliath. Today it's the same situation. These people that are talking about alliances, look, that's why I'm saying it's spiritual. You are talking about alliance. For any political organization to participate in a general election, it must go through an elected convention, national conference. When will Tonsi Alliance even go for that conference? All these political parties that they are mentioning, FDD, whatnot, all these, give me all of them. When will they go for that convention? Citizens First went for a convention in 2024 on the 7th of December. Do you know how long it took us to clear office bearers so that they can be replaced at the Registrar Society? 7 months to be precise. 7 months. Secondly, there is no law that compels the government to say do these fingerprints in 1 day or 2 days. The Home Affairs Ministry will take its time as much as it wants to clear those fingerprints. Now, we're talking about time between the general election. Where will they find all this time from? Suppose the Home Affairs Ministry says, we are not going to allow Registrar Society to update the details on the office bearers because we've got an issue with some of the names that you gave us. And here's the requirement, we need this number of names. Again, they'll start going to look after other people. So, this stubbornness that you are seeing, propelled by arrogance, to think only them they should be presidents and only them can form government, will be humbled by God himself at an appropriate time. Because they'll reach a time where the reality will hit them. It was about 4 or 5 days ago I posted something to say, look, this arrogance and stubbornness you're not seeing through your eyes. You wake up to some electoral reforms. And we're seeing a bill now. And if you see what it's talking about, that bill, first of all, there are things like even alliances should go for a convention. You understand? They should be registered before we even talk about a convention. That is targeting a specific grouping of people. You understand? On top of that, if you check one of the proposals from ECZ, it was removing the thing that Zambians know to say campaign period is about 3 months, giving the mandate to ECZ to determine when you're supposed to start campaigns and when you're supposed to stop campaign. So where will they get the comfort of that time to do all these things, to go through all these things? So even if they are going to be arrogant like that, even if they would want to be stubborn, at some point they'll realize and say, look, this is a very organized home. Let's just all be in this house and let us move.
You have talked about President Harry Kalaba having knocked on doors of various opposition leaders and wanting to work with them or trying to tell them to trust him so that they can work together. How many of those have agreed to work with President Harry Kalaba and the CF?
Look, I would not be in a position to say what was said between their meetings. But all I know is this for a fact: President Harry Kalaba has approached these leaders. And I can only comfortably say what I know because some of these leaders, they have come to me and told me, yes, your person is okay, but what you must go and tell him he has to be running mate, as we should take over the presidency. I know there are certain leaders that have told me that. Recently, I was in a by-election in Kasama. That conversation did not miss on our table. So when I'm talking, I know what I'm talking about. And even if they're watching, they know that what he's saying is the truth.
Okay.
If President Harry Kalaba, in this case, has not managed to convince this small group of leaders to work together, the country seems to be divided on many fronts. How is President Harry Kalaba, should he be voted as president, how will he manage to bring the country together?
I think Being the CF National Youth Chairman and a member of Central Committee, meaning I belong to the biggest organ of the party, I'll tell you that, first of all, before I even say how he's going to do it, President Hari Kalaba is not power hungry. Last week, we had a member of Central Committee meeting, and he made it clear that even when I see someone who's better than me, that will help us win the election, provided they want to stand on our party and they can deliver, I'm ready to support that person. But the only challenge we've been having is that we have got leaders, particularly those that are coming from PF, that would want to push him out completely of the party and take over the party. That is not the way it's supposed to be done. Then coming back to your question, President Hari Kalaba has made it clear that Zambia cannot develop if it's not united. And one of the first things that he's going to do is to unite the country. There will be nothing, I'm sure you have heard him talking even about businessmen. There will be nothing like this businessman was doing business with this government, UPND or PF or MMD. They are Zambians, they must be doing business. And that is the appetite he has for now, is to unite the country once he's voted in. And that is the only way we'll see development.
Right.
But this time around, I don't think the country is united.
We have about 10 minutes after Alfred's, last question. I'm sure you want to talk about the ECL, conversation. We will open phone lines so that we can, hear what the viewers have to say.
Yeah. Obviously, before we go to that, the bigger issue is the CDF and free education that I wanted just you to comment on. As CF, are you actually failing, or maybe let's say the UPND, are they actually failing, or are you just obligated to criticize them because you are in the opposition, looking at the performance and maybe the actualization of free education as well as CDF, which the UPNDs have branded as a trophy?
UPND has branded CDF as a trophy because CDF is a conduit that they designed, hoping that that's the only way they would reward their cadres with money. We have heard of cadres from UPND that have failed to return the loans that they got. We have heard cadres from UPND that got money. We saw a video at some point. You are a journalist, I'm sure you know about it, where someone put a substandard tank for a community and there was issues. I think it was North Western Province. And there's a lot more that has happened with CDF. And for me, CDF, I don't see it as a trophy like they claim, because if indeed CDF was a trophy as they claim, UPND would not be dancing in Chawama over that by-election. UPND would not be dancing the way they danced in Kasama over a by-election. I was in Kasama. I worked in the bush in Kasama. I can tell you what they're talking about is by word of mouth, Malanda Kanyu. But when you go on the actual ground, that is not a trophy that they can depend on. And that is the reason why they will try by all means to bring violence and all sorts of things to try to win an election. Because if it was indeed a trophy, they wouldn't have even been panicking like that. If it indeed was it was a trophy, they wouldn't have been asking the UPND branch in form of ECZ to start removing the security features from the ballot papers. They wouldn't have been asking UPND branch in form of ECZ to start moving the mandate and giving it the mandate to give discretion in terms of the period of campaigns ahead of August election. So to me, that is not a trophy that they think about. If it's a trophy, let's see how many seats UPND will win in Lusaka. Let's see how many seats UPND will win on the Copper Belt. I'll tell you the truth, being a grassroots-oriented person, UPND, it will be actually risky for anyone to stand on the UPND ticket here in Lusaka province and on the Copper Belt. Coming back to the free education. Free education is a good policy, but it was not well implemented. And as such, there's a possibility that it's compromising quality education. We've got a situation where some of us that work in the bush would see a teacher in a classroom with over, not even in a classroom, with over maybe 100 pupils. Now imagine how long it would take that particular teacher to mark ama books ya ama pupils by 100. Just give, and for an example, let me give you an example. Classwork, maybe it takes about 3 pages. She's got about 100 students. How many pages is she supposed to mark?
Okay.
So, let free education be done in a way that, number one, it does not compromise quality education, by ensuring that there should be that proper pupil-teacher relationship so that we achieve quality education. Number two, it should not frustrate the teachers that are being sent in the rural setup. And that is why President Hari Kalaba said those that will be sent in the rural setup, and I want to make it clear, we will never abolish free education, but we'll do it in the right way that it's supposed to be done. And those teachers that are going in the rural setup to work, there will be certain incentives that will be given to them. that will motivate them, and we'll see a lot more fighting to go in the rural sector.
Mr. Maxwell,
for example, they will be given an opportunity to even bring in a vehicle without paying duty, you know, and then there will be, I think about 100, if not 50% of their salary, which will be given as rural hardship allowance.
You've got ECZ, a UPND branch. Why would you call it a UPND branch? And if indeed it is a UPND branch, why are you even contesting in elections?
I don't know why you're asking me that question, because the ECZ I'm talking about, you don't know what I mean. What if I mean Elders Council of Zambia?
No, we're talking about elections.
I did not talk about Electoral Commission of Zambia.
No,
I just said
UPND
is choosing each branch. A branch is given, the branches are given so many names. Even CF.
So which ECZ is a UPND
It could be
branch?
Elders Council of Zambia.
Which one is the Elders Council of Zambia?
Maybe an organization where some elderly people or somebody who's not even fit to be there is running that organization. It's a branch.
Mr. Maxwell Chongu, I know for sure people want to engage with you, and of course, our question this evening is, what can Season First do differently? And of course, we are going straight into open the phone line and hear what the people are saying this evening. Good evening, you are through to Spotlight. Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yeah, good evening. Mondoloka calling from Chirondo.
Mr. Pomboloka.
Mondoloka.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, panelists. Rachungu Mlishani.
Bwana Mlishani, Kushani Chirondo.
Chirondo Kulifia Buyeno. Yeah, I've read. I think from Apambi this interview. I've read everything I've said. I've read the questions. But somewhere, it's just that I would say, Bwana Chongu, you are in politics. You are fighting for something you want to achieve. I think I'm not agreeing with you, Chongu, about the 700 increment. You said, you know, like what the CF president said, smokery. It's not. If I remember very well, that's the time of PF. There was even a 0.something% increment. What was the meaning of that? How much did the PF time? In your time, you were in PF. If you were just a member of PF, how much did you increase? And if this UPND government, they say, I remember there is the organizers, they wanted the increment of about 2,500. How many civil servants do we have? The government looked into that. If we agree with this, 4 or 5 months. So they said, okay, we're going to make it 700. Sure, honestly.
Kindly wind up, sir.
If you were you, okay, so I wind up. All those you have said about the debt restructuring, I think, my friend, let's try to appreciate Bwana Chongu. I know what you want. And we are Zambians, we are seeing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We do appreciate Mr.
Mondoloka. Hello, good evening. Hello. Hello, good evening.
Okay. Good evening. You are through to Spotlight.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from within Lusaka. My name is Edwin.
Mr. Edwin.
Please go ahead.
There's a cross line here.
Kindly turn down the volume from your TV.
Okay. I want to make some comments on what Max Chongu is saying. First of all, Maxwell Chongu was part of the PF government that he wants to turn out. The confused PF government that has caused actually many problems to this country. Now, when he talks about free education being confused, free education being not organized, how many classrooms did the PF itself build for him to say that today we have a lot of children seated under a tree learning? If PF for sure had developed this country, would we have those children sitting on the ground today? Certain things that certain governments have brought, mostly for this government called UPND government, we must surely say thank you to what they have done. Secondly, if it was PF and Max Chongu in government today, would he be sitting in that TV room to talk to the nation? Or cadres would have surrounded Crown TV even now as we talk?
Okay.
So certain things as we talk, let's be realistic. Let's say the truth that we know is the truth.
Thank you so
we
much,
know
Mr. Edwin.
he's in the opposition, but please, let's be level-headed. Let's accept what is good for the good of the nation. Many of the things that he has said on that TV station, he's just lying, trying to get some mileage. But we know what this government has done.
All right, thank you very much.
The same teachers he's talking about in the villages, they are there because they have understood the calling. That's why they are where they are today.
All right, Mr. Edwin, thank you very much. Let me allow our last caller and then allow our guest to contribute. Time is not with us. Please go ahead. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, this is General Chwenga.
General Chwenga, we are grateful for your call. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes you, Mr. Max, you are still young. And being a youth, first of all, I want to appreciate you for that. Number two, Mr. Max, we should not fall as young people. We should not fall muri aba ma politician bankote banachoka muyunipi muMMC babwera. Some people as young people should not be used kukonka aba ma politician amene mukonka bene hari karaba bene ndani. Why am I saying so? This generation charupamene chiendera. It is our duty as young people to take over leadership from these people, so that we bring difference kuri vintu bamene banachita. For example, bahari kala bachamene bazaka bwero chita differently to UPND ni chana. Bahari Kalaba, he was one of the cabinet ministers. Then zopanga ma decisions under the Edgar Lungu or under the PF. They failed to bring free education amenity Kambapa when they were in charge. They failed to increase the CDF ndrama buzipereka mururo muma constituencies when he was a decision maker. But today, I'm disappointed with you, my fellow young ones, just to follow these people who are just talking about lies against.
As you wind up, General.
As I conclude, my reader, as I conclude, I am just encouraging Maxwell Chongu to join this movement of young people, our generation, who are ready to take over leadership from these old politicians who are busy misleading, insulting each other every day. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, General Chwenga, and to everybody else that managed to call in. We do not have all the time in the world, but we'll allow you to respond to this cause and give your concluding remarks.
I'll respond to Mr.
Pondoloka
from Chirundu. First of all, I was in PF, yes, I do not refuse, but I was just an ordinary member in PF. I never served even on any party structure. So I had no powers or say, not even a vote, when it came to decision-making processes. So you cannot come and ask me to say, why didn't you do it? When you were in powers PF, I was not part of the decision-making process. Just like President Hari Karawa. President Hari Karawa was just a minister. And as a minister, there was so much he could do, and there was a line that he could not cross. It would end on giving advice to the president, and the president would decide whether to take it or not. And then he's talking about 700. And I repeat, I maintain my position. Why should our civil servants be given 700 when companies of foreign origin are there exploiting our minerals and they're enjoying tax holidays? The moment that we start asking them to pay tax, those monies that can be raised from there, even Mr. Mondoloka himself, he'll be happy if he's given something substantial than 700 kwads. I don't believe that civil servants agree with the position that Mr. Mondoloka has taken.
Okay. Edwin had talked about, that you need to be realistic, and also, talked about...
Edwin, he talked about schools. How many schools did PF build? Like I said, I was not part of the decision-making process. But I'll tell Edwin that the same schools that UPND is taking those kids to, those were built by PF. He should have told me how many schools UPND has built from the time they formed government up to now.
Your last word to any person out there that would want to, join the Citizens First movement, and those that have doubts, what would you say to them?
I think I'll combine it with the last caller who said I should join the young youth movement that they formed. I don't know, it didn't even mention its name. My words would be, first of all, I would advise all young people, regardless of our political affiliation, not to be involved in any form of violent activity. Because August is just nearby and anything can happen. And if there's change of government, you'll be on your own. For those of you that believe that there's a young youthful movement that they expect me to join, I am not going to just take myself to any movement in the name of youth trying to create an impact. I'm not interested in seeing government just being changed for the sake of change. I'm interested in seeing changing government and ensuring that the welfare of our people is improved. And the only vehicle that I belong to and I believe will do that is Citizens First under President
Mr. Max, as we come to an end of the program, it has been 8 months since the passing of former President Edgar Lungu, yet his remains have not been committed to the earth. How does this make you feel, and how best you want this issue to be concluded?
I think it's embarrassing. At the end of the day, government, I think they've got nothing to lose if they were to listen to the wish of the family. And I'm not just going to be one-sided. And the other side also, they should try to reach a common ground where they can agree on certain things. But we all know, as Africans, the wish and the wish of the family is always given the first priority. So if there is a way the government can bend and so that we can all forget about this thing, it will be better than keeping him there in the fridge for over 8 months.